Hey everybody, this is Natalie from Champion of Coins Tarot, and I'm here today to do a very much requested deck review on the Dragon Tarot by Nigel Suckling. I've been using this deck for my inner child work, following along Elise from Wild Moon Tarot's challenge on Instagram, and I've had a lot of people ask me about this deck. It is currently out of print, however, you can find copies of it on eBay for less than $30, including shipping. And it's one that I really haven't seen being talked about before. So I thought that today would be a great time to do a walkthrough and to give you some information about my own experiences and what I feel like this deck is really wonderful to be used for. So the deck is a traditional 78 card Rider-Waite-Smith clone, the only difference being that it has unillustrated minor cards, which I'll show you further on in the video. It comes with a 64-page guidebook, and in true Nigel Suckling fashion, it is very thorough. He includes a historical introduction of the tarot, information about different draconian myths. He has a key for reading the tarot elementally and seasonally. So down here he has a chart where cups are water, swords are air, wands are fire, and pentacles are earth. And of course, that corresponds to emotions, intellect, action, and matter, respectively. Also, the dragons that are included in each suit are based off of different cultures and different legends. So, water is based off of the Leviathan, the Typhon, Tiamat. So, water dragons from Mesopotamian cultures and from North African cultures. Swords are based on Romanian dragons, as well as drawing inspiration from Huracan, who is a Central American weather god of hurricanes. For wands, he has fire dragons, so drakes, salamanders, and there's a very strong volcanic theme running throughout that suit, so it's inspired by Mount Etna, Mount Vesuvius, things like that. And then finally, Pentacles is inspired by Greek dragons and European dragons. He also includes several suits. There's the basic 3-card spread, or he includes several spreads, not suits. Oh my goodness. There's the 5-card spread. So you have past, present, and future running in the middle. Then up here, you have a practical outcome. And down here, you have the underlying psychological climate. There is the Romany 7-card pyramid. And one thing that I really love about Nigel Suckling and his decks and his guidebooks is that his spreads always mirror the outside world with the inner world, and the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind. So here, the left side of the pyramid relates to the image that you project, what others see in you, how you are affecting your environment. And then the right column refers to your true inner thoughts and your inner experiences, the things that you are keeping hidden, maybe even from yourself. He also includes a Celtic cross spread. I've talked about this before in my walkthrough video for the Fallen Angels Oracle, but Nigel Suckling's Celtic cross kind of bothers me just because the layout feels very counterintuitive. So for example, for here in the middle, he has the current situation and obstacles, which is great. But then on the left, he has how the outcome is going to influence your life. And on the right, he has the foundations over here. And then the past and the future are up there. And I don't like it. So whenever I read, I modify the spread that's included in this guidebook. So I have past, present situation and obstacles, future, psychological influences down here, and then likely outcome or future advice on the top. That's just how I read, and I think it also flows much better with the 5-card spread that he has also included. He also includes one more that is an original creation by him, and that's called the Ouroboros spread, and it's inspired by the Ouroboros symbol, the world serpent in alchemy, the snake that is perpetually eating his tail, and it represents cycles, it represents unity, and just the flowing of thought and the flowing of idea and how nothing is destroyed, it's transformed. So here we have the distant past, the recent past, immediate influences on the situation, immediate obstacles, the immediate future outlook, future influences coming into your life, and then the ultimate outcome. And he also includes a note saying that this could be adapted for a week ahead spread because it is 7 cards. So you can do Monday through Sunday, and you can watch the evolution of these ideas. You can watch and see how things are going to manifest, and you can chart a course ahead. And I really love this spread. This is one that I definitely use for myself. I've had really wonderful experiences with it. So I would highly recommend experimenting with the spreads that are included in the guidebook, because I think a lot of his spreads are very intentional. Then, of course, he goes into the cards. You get a full page for each major arcana card. You have keywords, a brief discussion of symbolism, then upright and reversed meanings. And of course, everything is printed in color. For the minors, you do not have a full page. You only have half a page. But again, you have upright and you have reversals. This is very, very useful because the deck has unillustrated minor cards. So I would still recommend this deck for a beginner because a lot of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith interpretations are going to be found in the guidebook. And they can help you as you memorize and as you get your feet in the water. So that's it for the guidebook. Now I'm going to go ahead and begin showing you the artwork of the cards, which I know everybody is probably chomping at the bit for. The deck also comes with one bonus card. It is a large print of the star card. And this is absolutely lovely. I love to have this out on my altar space. I've been meditating with it. I have had some rose quartz around it, focusing on inner child manifestation and my own shadow work and psychological healing. So I really like that this card is included. Now, on to the major arcana. So as you can see, there is a large border around each card. It has sunflower overlay. It looks like it's carved. It looks like a window. And I actually don't mind the borders. I know that there are going to be some people who don't like them. But for me, I feel like this deck is so fantastical and so magical. I feel like the border is a gateway that allows you to step into the card and allows you to observe what's going on in the world and to bring it into your own mind. In every single card, there is a person, and then there's a dragon companion. And I feel like there are many different ways that you could read that. You could view it very much as a storybook. You could go intuitively off of the images and seeing how they're interacting and how you're playing together. For me, I quite like the idea of reading with this deck with a psychological model, with the dragon being the anima or the animus, just that wild spiritual side that is guiding all of us and that we have to tap into. In some cards, it could very well be the shadow. It could be what we're trying to control or what we are trying to overcome. But I think the dynamic energy between the dragons and between the people in this deck is very, very interesting, and it's something that completely sold me on it. So again, here's the Fool, the Magician. He has his serpent draped around him, kind of hanging out on top of his head. The High Priestess, the Empress. I love this card very much. I think she looks absolutely stunning. And I love the fantastical costumes on these, you guys. I think it's so interesting and so dynamic. The Emperor, the Hierophant. I love this. I think it's so interesting because you can read it as him being chained to the institution and being held down. Or he could very much be the one in charge. And sometimes it is intimidating to go up to authority figures. It is intimidating to challenge or even to want to join a society or want to join an organized religion. So I think there's just so much fun to play with in this image, and he just looks so grumpy. The Lovers, which I absolutely love. I love that the dragon is the one presiding over their union and blessing them. I think the Ton is just so cute. The Chariot card. So there's still a lot of traditional color imagery here where you have the black dragon and the white dragon. And I love how they're in flight. I love how they're in conflict with one another. And it just shows that it's your job to keep control and to be able to marry the best parts of yourself together in order to get things done, in order to move forward and to enact change. Justice. The Hermit. Just, that's such a fabulous robe. Oh my goodness. The Wheel of Fortune. So a much more traditional, a much more Marseille-esque interpretation of the wheel, but I really like the basilisk on top. It's one thing that I keep forgetting myself is that the basilisk has the head of a rooster, and then it has the body of a dragon, and you think of them as being such frightening things, but they're not. They're really kind of silly looking, and they're really strange and odd, and again, just the general symbolism of the wheel and that, everything changes. Everybody's going to have their days on top, and everybody is going to have their rough times in life, and it's all beautiful. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the learning experience. Strength. This is very Marian imagery, just with the colors of her outfit and her robe. The Hanged Man. See, this is an example of how you can completely have fun and completely veer off and do your own thing with interpretations. Is this dragon eating him? Is he resigning himself to his fate? Are they battling? Who is in control? Or it could be that this dragon is his savior. It could be that they are working together and that they are meditating, that the dragon is the one who is able to initiate this step and to initiate this process of higher enlightenment and higher wisdom. But it is definitely very precarious. I love this death card. This is one of my favorite interpretations of death. I just absolutely love it. Temperance. I don't like this card as much, I have to admit. I think that the woman's face is a little bit ornery, but I love the baby dragon. I love that it's blessing her and it's guarding her and watching over her as she mixes her elements together, as she brings forth new life and new inspiration. The Devil. Very spooky. The Tower. I love that you have the dragon rising up out of that. It's like, are you going to be a participant in your own destruction? Are you going to be the one who makes things happen, who turns the wheel, who enacts change? Or are you going to sit by and let it blindside you? Are you going to cooperate and build your future? Or are you going to try to hold out for as long as you can? The Star again. This is just probably my favorite star card in the entire world. I love it. The Moon, where you have the two dragons howling. And of course the crayfish and the pond are in between them. You have the towers, you have the road winding off. This is just absolutely gorgeous. And this is a card that comes up for me quite a lot. The Sun. So we have the traditional children, but they are safely on the ground. They are playing with a companion. So there's this feeling of peace, serenity, brightness, of illumination, and being able to embrace a new role. I quite like this Judgment card. I think it has a call to action, a call to agency, a call to transformation. And down here you have, of course, another Ouroboros symbol, the dragon eating its own tail, life spinning onwards and going into infinity. And then the World. And I love this because the 4 dragons from each of the suits are represented here. Just a blending of harmony. I see this World card more so than many others as just the right to step into your own personal power, and the right to have what you want, to live the life that you want, to be the person that you've always dreamed of and that you're capable of becoming. So those are the majors. And I have to admit, I quite like the art style. I know that it's not going to be a favorite of everybody because it's very medieval in style And the dragons, they definitely are kind of characters. Some of them look very fierce, very intimidating, and others are quite just derpy and quite interesting to look at. And that's going to be apparent as we move into the minors and into the court cards. So let's start off with cups. Look at this guy. I absolutely love this one. He looks so funny. He looks like a deer in the headlights. Like you just walked in on him with his giant cup and he doesn't know what to do. I just think he's adorable. Now the minors are unillustrated, but an interesting thing is that when you put them together, they form a picture. So the cups portrays an archipelago of islands, which is really pretty. And it adds something. I feel like if they had just decided to do a typical background, like a typical plain background, with just the water, then there wouldn't be as much life and there wouldn't be as much diversity between the minors. And so I thought that this was a very nice touch, a very nice addition. Now on to the court cards. Here we have the Page of Cups. And again, this is another dragon that just always makes me laugh and always makes me smile. There's just a sense of discovery. We don't know how their relationship is going to turn out. I personally like to think that the page just accidentally summoned this dragon, or that they accidentally came across. And there's this hesitancy. There is just this unease and just kind of the awkwardness of starting new projects or of starting new friendships and trying to put yourself out there and make a good impression. I just think it's so cute, and I love the background behind. The Knight of Cups, going off on a quest, going off to find peace within yourself, going off to reach out to other people, because man is not an island. And I love just the detail with the hoof. I love just the texture of the different parts of the dragon's body. It's very lovely. Now this Queen of Cups really reminds me of the Strength card. I think that a lot of decks have very serene, very quiet, very gentle looking Queen of Cups. And this is a woman who is absolutely in touch with her emotions. She is in touch with that shadow side of herself, with that animal side, with that wild, passionate, emotional desire. And she's unafraid of it. She has her shit together, basically, and she's not afraid to reach out. She's not afraid to express herself because she has such a strong sense of her identity. So I really love this interpretation of that card. And then we have the ever posh King of Cups. And this is just another dragon that's just so adorable. I love how happy that one is. So those are the cups. Now on to Pentacles. Here's the Ace. And I have to admit, I draw the suit of Pentacles and the suit of Swords more so than any other ones in this deck. I feel like this deck is so surprisingly grounded. The background for this one looks like just a gorgeous scenic landscape. It reminds me of Tuscany. It reminds me of the rolling hills of Italy and the olive groves, just with the intense green colors and the trees. So it's absolutely gorgeous. Probably my favorite suit artistically in the deck. So here we have the Page of Pentacles, studying, learning your craft, taking the next step, learning how to apply yourself and learning how to apply your natural talents. I love how the dragon has the consoling hand on the arm. I could sure use a friend like that. I'm going through finals week this month. But yeah, I love, again, the interaction between the figures in these cards. Here is my signifier, the Knight of Pentacles. And I made a lovely Instagram post about this guy. Just, this is the most hilarious face. And this is honestly, like, if you could look into my heart and, like, if you could see my soul, that is, like, the face that I am perpetually making inside. Just so awkward. But yeah, no, I love this card. And there's that sense of setting out. There's that sense of having to, reluctantly perhaps, go out and face your fears and go out and make something that you can be proud of in the world. So I feel like it's very true to that drive and to that determination and that honesty in the Knight of Pentacles card. The Queen, looking very regal and serene. The Dragon protecting her, just confidence in herself. And the King of Pentacles. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So the swords. Here we have the Ace. The landscape for this one is a mountainous city. A city in the sky. I guess this one, there are some different landscapes. Like there are different sections. Like there's a mountain up here, and then there's the city over here. But for the most part, most of the minor cards are very cohesive. Here we have the Page of Swords. And this one is kind of interesting for me because I feel like it doesn't really fit with some of the other cards in the deck. Whereas every other situation is very grounded and much more realistic, or at least as realistic as you can get with a medieval dragon-themed deck. But here we have the Page in space, and just the generation of ideas of being able to unlock your imagination, of being able to tap into the powers of your mind for the first time, and that expansiveness, that awakening to consciousness, that message, that herald that the Page often calls us to pay attention to. The Knight of Swords, boldly taking that idea and heading off, meeting life face first. The Queen of Swords. This card is honestly what made me purchase this deck. I absolutely fell in love with it. I saw it on Eclectic Tarot Forum, and it just completely took me away. I love this depiction of the Queen of Swords so, so, so much. And this is another card that I would love if they would ever make an art card out of, which of course they're not going to because it's been out of print for almost 10 years. But I just love, 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 love. And then the King of Swords. And I like how soft, I love how just kind and sympathetic this dragon looks, because we often think of the king as being a very authoritarian, being a very strong decision maker. But there is, of course, that element of human compassion that we have to have when we enact our ideas or when we want to make a change. We have to be considerate of other people's impact. And we also have to be gracious with ourselves. So I quite like that. And then the wands, I'm going to try to speed up so I can talk about my own personal experiences with the deck. But here we have the elemental with his staff ready to go on the journey. We have this new life, this new energy that cannot be contained, this passion in the volcano. And then this one is another one where there are kind of different landscapes. Here we have a very green expanse, and then we have a desert and volcanoes, and this one doesn't flow as well as the other minor scenes do. But it's all right. It's all good. The Page of Wands setting off into the desert, following your heart, following your passions, following that instinct and that spiritual drive towards something more. The Knight of Wands. See, this is a dragon that looks very fierce and very intimidating. This is not a derpy one. The Queen, secure in herself, a master of her personal agency. And the King, very radiant, very charismatic. So that is a look at the cards. And before I go, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I've used this deck for and what my impression of the energy is. I have had this deck for almost a year. I purchased it in July of 2015 for my birthday, and I never used it up until last month, for myself at least. I've read for friends before, I've done relationship readings with it, and it's surprisingly very, very good for relationship readings. But this was the very first time that I used it for myself. And over the past 2 months, I have had amazing experiences with it. I feel like this is a practical, this is a focused, this is a very grounding deck. I feel like it's a very neutral energy. It feels similar to the Rider-Waite-Smith to me in that it could be used for anything. But I think also it's an anchor. It's a light in the darkness. It's something to cling to in the storm. And it's always very clear. Its messages are very simple, very honest, and very thought-provoking. Because sometimes you just need to be able to sit and just need to be able to reflect. And you just need to cut to the truth. And it's not harsh at all. It is so incredibly loving. But sometimes simplicity is best. And this deck definitely knows when to speak. It knows when to stay silent. And it's great for not only sitting with your own energy and holding space for yourself and making sure that your intentions are pure, but then it's also great for looking at the next step and looking at how you can put your ideas into practice, how you can relate to other people. I feel like this deck constantly inspires me to see how I can be more loving or how I could be more creative, how I can use my influence on my loved ones to better them and to enrich their lives instead of focusing on my own self-interest. And so I love it for that. And I think it's so transformative and so underrated. And I highly encourage you, if you're interested in the deck, to give it a chance. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to talk to me. I could sing the praises of this deck all day long. Another thing is that it's great for shadow work and great for helping me to make sense of my mental illness, because really the inner child work challenge that I've been doing with it has really been pushing me to go back to the source and to look at my foundation. And this is a very, very foundational deck. It's very grounded. It's very, very, I would say it's very healing. It's very healing. And so it's wonderful for that kind of work. So this has been my walkthrough and my little review of the Dragon Tarot by Nigel Suckling. Thank you so much for watching my channel today, and I will talk to you very soon in the next video. Bye, everybody!